Yes, guys, how you doing? Welcome back to the Spurs Talk Show. I am Sean Butler. I hope you're all happy and healthy doing the things you love. I hope you're not too hot, but there's certainly some hot news out today, yesterday, tomorrow, no doubt. It is bonkers to be a Tottenham fan right now. You love to see it. It's been so quiet for so long. Following Daniel Levy's audacious, galling, the audacity on the man to come out and say our ambitions are to win the Premier League. So many were saying, what's he doing? That's a rod for his own back. Not here. It's always, you haven't got to be an ITK to do some joined up thinking. It's rocket science. Or rather, it isn't rocket science. It's just football. And Tottenham Hotspur, it looks like there's multiple things happening at the club right now. You might have legal action with Morgan Gibbs-White, although that story's calming down a little bit and everyone is now basically under the kind of guise that Tottenham Hotspur are going to get it done. It's going to be delayed, but it will be okay. Same time, Tottenham Hotspur are moving for Adam Wharton, apparently, or Douglas Luiz, or João Palhinha. And I don't really care which one of the three we get because they all immediately improve us. They all offer a little bit something different. But at the same time, guys, the news is now everywhere. We've all been saying it. Johnny and I have been talking about this for about a better part of 7 months. Looks like Daniel Levy now is stepping down or stepping back, apparently, potentially. It looks like there's money that's about to be announced, but it's already in. Clearly, it's already in. We know it's already in because Tottenham's cash funding, their liquidity, wouldn't be able to support and suffice two deals like that alone, especially if one of them, see, we haven't paid it yet, but especially if that triggering of the release fee happens to have a 60... the fact that Nottingham Forest aren't even picking up the phone suggests that they just have to receive the money in one lump sum, to me. Again, joined up thinking. I'm not an ITK. I don't know anything, but you don't have to be rocket scientist to figure out that potentially that release clause basically was, if you pay it in one lump sum, 60 million quid, and he's yours. And that looks like what Tottenham have done, because reports are suggesting that we literally just sent them an email or whatever, sent them a deal sheet saying we're triggering the release fee, here's the money. To which Nottingham Forest went, what? RUF? You love to see it. You love to see it. But with that, with Kudos deal, if Tottenham are looking to go again, Johan Wissa's still back on. Apparently, there's rumours out there tonight that's on. Also, there's rumours about another left winger in the form of Jack Grealish. Savage just texted me this. I saw it on Twitter earlier on from someone that claims to be an ITK, works for some sport. I've got it up in front of me somewhere. Where is it? Anyway, I'll come back to that in a minute. We'll get to that. But Jack Grealish on loan. Potentially, guys. Potentially. Absolute mayhem. But the big story of the day, is that yours truly, who's been picking away at the FFP and the PSR, is saying it's outrageous. It's outrageous. Saudi PIF fund invested entirely in Newcastle, yet at the same time, one standard deviation away from the ownership by investing into Clear Lake Capital, who are a part owner of Chelsea. Plus, Saudi PIF fund owns 5 teams in Newcastle, in Saudi, who all happen to be the biggest spenders in that division. Plus, whatever's going on in Turkey, the Turkey segment of the day over on Football Inc. Well, I'm no longer that bothered about all that stuff, if I'm entirely honest. I'll be shameless if I have to. Because the stories are out, guys. We're going to come into it in a minute. The stories are out that apparently the stadium naming rights and or a different style of investment is essentially done, and that it's a subsidiary of the PIF fund. We're finally playing ball. We're finally on board the Saudi train. Choo-choo! I'm going to sports wash my balls. It's sweaty out here. Let's all go and give our sports wash our balls, shall we? Wait, give our balls a sports wash is what I was trying to say. Unbelievable. I only use halal monies. Simon Guzzer. Love it. Big up everybody. please smash the like button. There's 550 of you in the house straight off the trap. We've got Johnny joining us in about 5 or 10 minutes after he's had some chow. And we've got J Rated X, awesome guy, coming on as well. He's got some things to say about Daniel Levy because there's more, guys. There's more news. And I'm going to bring it all up in a minute. But Ben Jacobs is essentially saying, Paul O'Keefe, is saying, and even though he's blocked me, I can still... Yes. Oh, computer might be crashing out on me. Hope not. As was suggested about, was it 4 weeks ago when Donna Cullen was leaving? Just phase one of a major shake-up in the boardroom level. Charrington's in, Vinay's in. There might be someone else coming in. It might be from the investment group. It might be someone that's third party. But Daniel Levy may be stepping away from football matters. He'll still be at Tottenham in all likelihood. We're going to get into it, guys. Please smash the like button for me if you enjoy this content. Hit the subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell and drop them comments. Let them thick and fast. It's madness. I might have to wait a little bit to show the tweets. I don't want to kind of spoil it for Johnny and Jay, but it's quite a wild story. So Daniel Levy might be taking his foot off the football side, moving into the world of just commercial stuff. Now, we have to think about this, right? If it's true, the PIF fund are in fact moving in, or a subsidiary of it. In fact, you know what? I better get the tweets up. Before I do, don't want to misspeak here. Let me just say hello to some people. Paul Ransom's in the house. If they own some of us, will this mean we get demoted to the Europa League because they own Newcastle? No. Well, that's actually a really interesting point, actually. But you're not allowed, you won't be able to do it legitimately. So one of the ways in which, it's either the PIF fund is a subsidiary and therefore it's not technically Saudi, it's not the same group, which is one way around it, or potentially one of the ways that they might do it is do similar to what they did with Clear Lake Capital, where they don't invest directly in the team, they invest into an investor in the team. So as I put a tweet out about this, I said, to me, it makes sense. I don't know the ramifications or the laws on this. I've got no idea. But if you look around the amount of teams in Europe that have the same ownership behind it, the same, as I said, if you're a publicly limited company, right, of which there's quite a lot around, there's a lot in Turkey, there's a lot in Eastern European clubs. These guys are on their various stock exchanges and they have, State Street, Vanguard and BlackRock Capital as their three biggest shareholders. It's the same. It's the same kind of back scratching thing going on there. Obviously, less direct running of the company. They're just investors in it rather than necessarily on the board. But ultimately, what you would probably look like if it was PIF, again, don't know. I'm not a lawyer on this. I'm not an ITK for sure. But it just makes sense to me that if the PIF fund can invest in Clear Lake Capital and there's no problem there, why can't the PIF fund just invest into ENIC and then ENIC put the money into Tottenham? Or do it into Tavistock Group, and then Tavistock Group do it into ENIC, and then ENIC do it into Tottenham. It's not that difficult to work around the rules when the rules are that bloody stupid. Anyway, good question. Great first comment straight out of the traps, by the way, Paul. Love the thumbnail of our new owner. Is that Kareem bin Levy? Yeah, AI is a beautiful thing, isn't it? Absolutely sensational. Big up, Darv. Come on, William. Let's go. Drum the thumb upon entry, people. Love that. Come on. Tottenham TV saying ENIC had put the money in. Well, no one knows that yet. They might be right. But like I say, the rumours that I heard, or that we've seen, are that there's two different things here. One could be a stadium naming rights deal. Another one could be a separate investment from ENIC. Remember, the hotel needs to be paid for. Remember, we heard rumours before. Johnny and I were talking about this months ago that the Qataris wanted to bring in, but they wanted to redevelop the entirety of the high road and basically make a giant walkway and involve it. And there was a tube station. I think it was Northumberland Park tube station that needs to be redeveloped. There's already a line there, but it's not currently open or accessed. So all that work's been done, but you need to get the permission from Haringey Council, and those guys want some backhanders. Well, I'm not saying they do, but I'm just saying that there might be some of that kind of stuff going on there's always a bit of greasing of palms, isn't there? Richard Bennett, Forest being dumb, trying to take on Don Levy. Still think it will go for 100%, mate. 100%. That guy, that Marinakis guy is just a lively guy, isn't he? Really, really lively. Cheers, Chris. Appreciate you, mate. Better timekeeping, mate. Come on. I was only a couple of minutes late, Daniel. Only a couple of minutes late, lad. Oi, oi, Sean. Come on. Oi, oi. What the hell is going on? What is going on? Oh, hang on. Not talking about Stelios. Someone must have invested in ENIC. 100%. That's what we're looking. Let's get some of these tweets up, shall we? 800 people in the house, guys. Love to see it. Please do the honors as you come in. Let's get some of this. I hate having to show this man's tweets because he's blocked me. He's blocked me. It's not very nice, is it? Not nice to be blocked. But you know what? His track record since blocking me has gone downhill wildly. Here we go, though. Understand that there will be investment. Is this on the screen? Yeah, it is. Yeah. Okie dokie. Understand that there will be investment as well as a large sponsorship deal for Tottenham. Interestingly, the changes will see a management reshuffle as well as new roles. Likely, Levy stays, but potentially in a different or reduced and perhaps even non-football related role. Vinay's appointment and the departure of Cullen were the first part of a board realignment of the club. Remains to be seen what impact that has on the football strategy. Well, if the last couple of days is anything to go by, then a little bit of good, a little bit of crazy. We get a job, we get the deal done, but we somehow break the rules in order to do it. Listen, this is what happens when you work with Saudi. Suddenly, for it to invest in the club, I didn't see this bit, or if they are coming in directly. Which, funnily enough, is the tweet I put out about an hour ago. I hadn't seen that second thing. Could it be that the PIF fund invest in ENIC rather than Tottenham directly to get around the competition laws, with Newcastle already being owned by PIF? Similar to how their investors in Clearlake Capital, who are part owners of Chelsea, can be more directly involved with the property portfolio program too, that way. There's the little picture, of which someone has responded saying, what are you talking about? Clearlake and ENIC are completely different types of organisation. Doesn't explain how, why, or what he knows. But if I'm entirely honest, I don't think he knows what he's talking about. But he likes to tell people that they don't. But let's... we've got a super chat. We've got a super rat-a-tat-tat. Thank you very much, Roy Vicken. The super sticker train. Choo-choo! I forgot all about the super sticker train. We got to get to Saudi, guys. We've got to get to Saudi. I'll fly over Dubai on the way and pick up a rat-a-tat-tat for the stream, a little cheeky one. Put her in the background and fan me because it's really hot, you know. Which what type of lady are we looking for to make the place a little bit prettier around here? Morgan Gibbs White won't play for Forest if they block the Spurs move, said Faz Radfar. Thank you very much for the super chat. Is that true? I haven't seen those links. I haven't seen those links anywhere. People are texting me. Something's going on. What is going on? I've just seen something here. What's happened? What am I being sent? Interesting. Is it interesting? Oh, yeah, no, it's the Saudi Aramco Arena. This is what I did this one already, but Perchy's on the same bad boy. The Tottenham Hotspur Saudi Aramco Arena. This is the idea, right? So Ben Jacobs, let's pivot to Ben Jacobs' fame. We like Ben. He's a very nice guy. Exclusive, Spurs close to finalising a stadium naming rights deal with a Saudi entity, the front runner. Advanced talks taking place. The deal makers have put forward two companies. One, a PIF subsidiary, and a secondary company that's unaffiliated. Legalities being explored so as not to conflict with Newcastle. Nothing guaranteed yet, as Spurs have spoken to American companies as well, but discussions are advanced. Senior government figures have been involved in the talks. Why have the senior government figures? Of which government, by the way? Which government? Is that the UK government? Or is that the Saudi government? Or is it the American government? Computers. I think everything's overheating a little bit. What you could be doing, guys, is smashing the like button for me if you like it. 920 people here. Let's get over 1,000 just to welcome Johnny. And Johnny's going to be here in a couple of minutes. And then we got Jay coming on in about 5 or 10 as well, hopefully. So I don't think it's... Thank you very much for the super chat, though, Fads. Appreciate you. I don't think it's Saudi money. It's ENIC investing into the team. Well, ENIC aren't going to do a... ENIC aren't going to do a stadium naming rights deal. There's no B2C in ENIC. That's all property. That's nothing. There's no overlap. There's no relationship. But it doesn't make any sense. Ramco, it's an oil drilling company. Not making any sense either, really, to me. If it was something like the Total Arena or whatever, I think that's a... where's Total from? Total is Middle Eastern as well, I think. Or the BP Arena, one of those types of things. That would make sense because it's branding, right? You've got to think about the branding. There was a dismissal earlier. Matt Law, even though we don't listen to Matt Law too much anymore, he did put out a comment, an article earlier on talking about the fact that NVIDIA were apparently looking at doing a naming rights deals, and Tottenham declined to comment on that one, as did NVIDIA. So no smoke without fire, but that is, again, it's a bit of a strange one. Like, NVIDIA is becoming a really popular, like a really well-known brand. They do all the graphics processing units for like gaming PCs and all that stuff. They also make all of the AI chips, and a lot of the chips, they compete with ARM and Intel and things for actual chips, but they do the processors as well. So they've got two different arms to their game. And obviously most devices now that are really complex or like high performance or anything has NVIDIA in it, but I still don't think it's necessarily going to benefit too much from a B2C type of role. Although maybe you could make the upload. They're the wealthiest company in the world, like the richest company, $3.5 trillion. Absolutely smashed. Total is French, is it, Anthony? I appreciate that. Starmer does support Arsenal. Yes, he does. UK government says Jason Mileham. Clearly Saudi money and kit sponsorship. Yeah, when the AIA deal is up for renewal soon, isn't it? Riyadh is sponsoring the stadium. They might be involved in the hotel. This is what I think, genuinely, it's what's interesting in that Ben Jacobs story, though, right? Let's listen, read it through again. Read it carefully, right? Deal makers have put forward two companies. One is a PIF subsidiary and a secondary company that's unaffiliated. So if there are two options, is this essentially saying, look, the PIF wants to get involved? If it can be via the PIF, great. But because they have to examine the legalities to make sure that they're not in conflict with Newcastle, then are they just saying, well, if the PIF fund can't do it because of Newcastle, then the subsidiary might be able to do it, but if that can't work, then we can also just go down a secondary company that's unaffiliated. And at the end of the day, I'm sure in certain areas of the world, like in maybe Saudi Arabia, it's a lot easier to lose sort of certain auditing and documentations. It will be interesting. I'd find it so typical if all of these things are allowed to happen, these byproduct secondary investors that are one standard deviation away from the direct ownership. They get away with it with Chelsea. They get away with it with Nottingham Forest. They get away with it with all these other clubs. But yet when Tottenham want to do it, suddenly there's a problem and it will be blocked. I want to ask you guys a question about this, actually. Let me put out a poll for you. Will you be happy if Saudi money comes in? Yes or no? Binary stuff. NVIDIA hit a 4 trillion market cap according to yesterday's stock price. Did it really? Fuck it out. It's good news for my pension. They were 3.5 trillion a couple of weeks ago. About 12% of they wouldn't be against NVIDIA. Let's have a look. I've lost my space on my screen. Here we go. I'm going to bring this down for a second, and I'm going to take my face back up. Where's the super sticker train, guys? We're not getting out of Junction 1 tonight. No one's playing the game. Sean, 1 for Football Inc. Yeah, by the way, so this is the plan, right? If you want to hang around with me for a couple of hours, at 8 o'clock, we are finishing here and we're redirecting straight across to Football Inc. because we want to talk about a lot more stuff over there. Crystal Palace have been demoted to the Conference League. That's being challenged Nottingham Forest don't know whether they're coming or going, which division they're playing in right now. Obviously, we've got to talk a bit more about the Nottingham Forest side of the Morgan Gibbs-White saga. And there's a whole bunch of other transfer news, views, and clues that Johnny and I are going to continue. So if you are around for the next couple of hours, then spend it with me, spend it with Johnny and Jay. They're going to be joining. They should be joining any second. I've got an itchy nose again. Sorry, guys. Not the most attractive thing to see. NVIDIA doesn't make too much sense. I agree, Batu. It's not really the most logical thing for me. Sean, isn't it ratata-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta anymore if it was a rich na-na-na-na-na-na-na-na? Yeah. I mean, I like I say, I've been very much like vocal in my life. The rules are ridiculous. The rules of a PSR FFP is a joke. But the great thing about this one, guys, is that if we do have this money coming in, people, we have so much room on our PSR as well. So much room. We haven't done any of the shenanigans. We got a lot of wiggle room to work with. We could easily go out and get like a monster. And just imagine if these deals are coming out, right? If Saudi are getting involved and they're getting frustrated by the fact that they can't do it at Newcastle, and they can't even really like sell their left arm to their right arm and buy it back at Newcastle because they haven't really got anything to sell, and they don't. So that it's not really. Their stadium needs to be rebuilt. Their training ground needs to be rebuilt. They haven't. The women's team maybe, but like I wonder whether Newcastle United just like the Saudi things are getting a little bit frustrated over there. But look at the trajectory that they've had. Look at the trajectory they've had over the last few years. It's quite wild. It really is quite wild. Bring it on, says Andrew. Hit the likes, everyone, says Eugene. Sport is becoming more and more elitist. We need something like this just to keep up with the rest. That's what I've been saying for the last sort of couple of months, really. I'm not picking my nose, mate. I'm itching it. I don't know what's going on. I think I've got hay fever or allergies or something. Shawnee boy. I like Benny boy. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you. Good to see you. Get Wharton and Vista next. Imagine, guys. Just imagine if we go and get Adam Wharton and we get Morgan Gibbs-White. I still make the argument, though. I would still make the argument that I don't really know what problem Morgan Gibbs-White solves. Like, he's a wonderful player. He's a wonderful player, and he's better than what we have to some degree in certain positions. Is he going to come in and play the 8? Because as a 10, I mean, he might play the 10, initially because Becky and Maddison are out injured. But I think he's a better fit as an 8. But then, does that mean that Bentancur might be leaving? Because he's apparently struggling to sign his new contract. And I'm okay if Bentancur wants to go, by the way. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me at all. I think he's a good player. I don't think he's a great player. I think Morgan Gibbs-White's better than him. And he's feisty. He's spicy. He's got the guile, the grit, the determination. He's got everything that we lack as a midfield. Like, I think if you got Morgan Gibbs-White in your team, I don't think Liverpool run through you quite as much. And if you have Polinia at the back of that 4 or the back of that base 3 as a like either a single pivot or a double pivot, if you play it with a single pivot and then you have like a 6, an 8 on the right, like a 6 or something that hovers left or whatever, an 8 that's like in possession, they're like a one back and one forward. Out of possession, they sit side by side in a double pivot. And one of those is Morgan. Imagine if you had Polinia, Gibbs-White, Maddison in the 10, Kudus on the right, Jack Grealish, for example, a fully fit, fully refreshed Jack Grealish on the left, and then Solanke at the top. And on the bench behind it, you had Backdoor Johnson, you had Visser, you had Sonny Tell. I mean, all of a sudden, you're thinking, I don't mind our chances. But it depends how much money we've really got. How much money do you think we're working with here? Let's check in and see what we're doing with the poll. 310 votes so far. 87% of you are okay with it. 13% of you are not okay with it. Interesting. 13% of you are saying don't want the Saudi money. Is it just because it's Saudi? Or is it because of something else? Is it because of sports washing? Do we want to stick to being organic and, doing it the right way? But, Daniel Field's saying no. Polinia cannot pass for the life of him. We need a passer. Yeah, but Polinia, you're right. He can't pass. Well, he's not a bad passer. Let's have a look at his stats, shall we? He's not horrendous. He's just not a ball-playing midfielder, I would say. Scout reports. Share this tab instead. Is it on the screen? I mean, it's not a bad passer. Someone's jumped in. Who's that? There he is. Johnny?
Yep.
Hi, buddy. Why can't I see you? Oh, there you are. Hang about. What's going on there? So there we go. We're just having a quick look-see at João Polinia, because he's not really known for his passing, but actually his passing is...
Oh, his passing is superb. Who said that?
He's not. I don't think he's not a ball-playing midfielder. He's a 6. He's a monster. He's a destroyer, but he doesn't really take on... He's not like a guy that's going to thread the eye of a needle.
I think if you'd have taken him out of the Fulham team, they'd have been nowhere.
100%. This is the stuff you're looking for, really, though, in him versus other midfielders. His tackling stats is absolutely sensational. How you doing, mate? How was your lunch, your dinner?
It was very good. It was very good. Just looking forward to tonight being on here, going on Football Inc. in an hour's time and listening to, seeing with all those people who climbed under a rock, who have been giving us, you and me, a hard time over the last few months. I'm enjoying it. I'm looking forward to it. Do you think they'll come out?
No, you never get a pat on the back. You never get an apology. All you get is silence until the next time they think they've got a chance to have a crack at you. Then they're back. With a vengeance. Yeah.
Listen, all I know is that the decent people out there have actually messaged me and in some of the group chats and said, you've been banging on about it for months on the YouTube channels. So, it's there in black and white if anyone wants to check it out. But I'm happy. The people I'm happiest for, other than myself, is the fans who look like they're finally going to get their wish. And I even said, because we're on something else now, so I'll come back to it later. But I even said I could see Levy being sidetracked and then concentrating on the property development, which he's really strong at, which there is plenty of with the hotel, the housing development, White Webs, the stadium there for the women's in the NFL. There's so much to do. Yeah. And if you're being backed by the Saudis rather than taking loans from a bank, the Saudis will happy back you because they're investing in it. It makes no sense for them to be charging a higher rate than a bank.
What do you make of this, the Saudi news, mate? Have you seen it? Shall I get it up?
Yeah. Look, I just, I mean, it's quite funny, to be honest with you. The whole thing is quite funny. Who's that, Jay?
It was like a face reveal. It's like, ta-da!
How are you, mate?
How you doing, Jay?
I'm good. I'm just gonna close this. Just make sure people, my bathroom's nice, but it's not that nice. It's not Sean Stream nice. Do you know what I mean?
You're not sat on you're not sat on it now, are you?
No.
If we see him going like this,
hey, Johnny, we don't all live in mansions. This is the panoramic view of my staircase, unfortunately. So yeah, sorry, no, not that fancy, I'm afraid.
What are we saying, guys? So there's so much to chew through, right? We'll come back to Morgan Gibbs White and the Nottingham Forest thing in a minute, but just obviously the breaking news is imminent investment. We've got Ben Jacobs that are saying, I'll show you on the screen.
I don't give. Okay, maybe he has a couple of insights on Saudi, but listen, I remember only a few weeks ago, because I vividly remember him posting about Crystal Palace. He was like, exclusive, Crystal Palace set to stay in the Europa League. I actually remember him posting that. Only for them today to be like, I know he's got a couple of contacts in Saudi, so I guess I'll tolerate it. But this guy is definitely on my squad list.
Jay, the thing is, right, what he didn't do, he didn't look at the the rules, mate. That's what he didn't do. And we spoke about this right at the beginning when this news broke about Texter and all the rest of it. When Woody Johnson came in, I said, it's not going to make any difference. It can't make any difference because the same would have happened to the Nottingham Forest boss, which no one seems to be talking about, is he was in exactly the same position. He thought the 30th of June was the cut-off date when the date was actually March, okay? And like it or not, them are the rules. The rules were changed, and Texter was a shareholder in March, and therefore that is it. And the same would have happened. The same would have happened with the Nottingham Forest owner. He took himself off the register in May because he was worried that Nottingham Forest were going to get in the Champions League, and they would have been there with Olympiacos, which he also owns. Therefore, Nottingham Forest would have got thrown out. He would have fallen foul to that news as well, and he would have been thrown out the Champions League and would have been demoted into the Europa League. So,
yeah, I mean, it's interesting though, right? But for me, I'm more curious right now, not so much about Crystal Palace and stuff. We can come back to that in a minute, but like I was that's a Football Inc. conversation.
Yeah.
In terms of the investment, I don't know what's the bigger news. Is it money coming in? How it's going to be coming in what format? As I say, will it be done? Yeah, if it's Saudi, but he's also kind of hedged his bets there. Ben Jacobs saying it could also be American ownership. Would you guys rather Saudi money, or would you rather it be American?
Personally, first of all, I've always liked the way Spurs have done stuff. Do you know what I mean? Like the plucky underdogs who are kind of doing it without I know some fans don't like it, but it's just I've always liked it as a badge of honor. Maybe it gives you plausible deniability for not being successful. Do you know what I mean? As a you don't miss what you don't have kind of thing. So I think the thing is if you look at Saudi money is in everything. Like golf, tennis, boxing, everything. So I think once you let the inmates run the asylum, and once you let it in, it's like you can't really. I don't really want to be starting to pick and choose. Like, okay, it's okay here. I mean, it's acceptable. What I wouldn't want it to be is like how it is with Newcastle. Like with now all of a sudden our kit sponsors are changing. And this and that, and this and that. But from my point of view, if they want to own a percentage of Tottenham with a view to a takeover in the future, it's, this is why I've never really been a big owner out kind of thing, as long as your owner's doing an acceptable job, because wanting billionaires I don't like to leave, so billionaires I do like come in, has never really sat well to me as a logical thought process. So, whoever it is, maybe slight preference for American owners if they've got some sort of background in like analytics or data, or they've owned other teams that are successful. But bar that, fair's fair, right?
What are you, Johnny? Saudi or American money?
It was the end of March, guys. Right? Okay. I said it weeks ago. So, look, Saudi are buying up everything. Do you realize how much Saudi money is invested in America? Do you know how dependent America is on the Saudi money? They've invested in everything. They're embedded into everything that we do.
Yeah, defense spending. Everything.
I would prefer the Saudis over the Qataris, if I'm brutally honest. But I think for me, it's about, can they take the club to the next level? I don't need a club that's going to suddenly spend ridiculous sums of money. But I think they'll take over ENIC firstly. Let's be honest, the Tavistock Group, which is run by Daniel Levy's son, has around about 200 companies in it, and ENIC is just one. So for me, it makes sense for them to invest in ENIC to circumvent the rules. Has anyone thought about the possibility that having gone in, that the Saudis see that there's a lid on their investment in Newcastle, and there is really far less of a lid on the potential for Tottenham Hotspur. You're talking about a potential NFL franchise. You're talking about the women's football team. You're talking about the hotel. You're talking about the development, the property. I know they're in with the Rubin brothers at Newcastle. Everyone talked about the Saudis, but the Rubin brothers were a key element of that deal because they are massive in property and they will be in cahoots with, the councils. What Newcastle did, they bought the hearts and minds of the locals and then went over the council with any property or project that they have. They're going to get it through very quickly. Imagine, Saudi investment into regeneration of Tottenham Hotspur. Tottenham. Okay, you've got to get rid of David Lammy, but imagine funding a proper train station. Remember, the line is there. There is a basis of a line that's running from Seven Sisters down to White Hart Lane. They're more than capable of regenerating this area. They have the finance to do it. They're looking for outside projects. And this, to me, makes far more sense than the regeneration in Newcastle with the massive off-field earnings that's capable. I think it's more likely to be Saudi money. I wasn't sure, if I'm brutally honest, that it wasn't QSI originally, because I know they've been trying to get out of PSG commitment. They can't buy this. They can't buy the stadium. There's no money coming in from TV. They're maxed out. All they got is a football team that's in the Champions League and the World Club Cup every 4 years. Whereas a club like Tottenham, endless possibilities to earn money via the stadium. So I don't know. For me, if it is an American and it's someone like Kroenke, then fine. Kroenke's wife is richer than Stan Kroenke. She's
really?
Yeah, she's the heir to the Walmart.
Billion. Oh, of course. Yeah. One of the Waltons, yeah.
Yeah. Not that Walmart.
Do you know what? With the American thing, and welcome, Connor, to me, it's like with Saudi, you kind of know what you're getting into bed with. You kind of know, right? Like, hopefully it's going to be like a sort of a different relationship with money. Hopefully it will be ambition. Hopefully it's the desire to be the best. Hopefully it will be like with the FFP, the PSR wiggle room. Hopefully that sort of thing will allow Tottenham, to finally have a crack and then to get back amongst it. And like I say, as much as I'm a complete flip-flop or a hypocrite, I know I've been calling it out for ages. I know for the last 2 years I've been saying that, it's about time that Tottenham get their get the kind of just deserves of their hard work. But then of late, I've been more around this, in the last month or 2 months or whatever, maybe even 3 months, I've been saying, if you can't beat them, join them. Like, the rules aren't worth what they're written on. So call me a hypocrite and contradictory guy if you want. But I've never had a problem with the kind of moral code of it. It's more just around I'd like us to do something organically. If you can do it the right way, then fair play.
Do you think that this constitutes winning the Europa League constitutes something where Levy's been like, all right, we got something. I've got something on my own.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's because fuck you guys. I won us a trophy. People one trophy in 17 years.
Mate. It's like those guys in the gym, right?
It doesn't bang like it used to. Do you know what I mean?
Like those guys in the gym that are desperately trying to lift 100 kgs before they get on the juice.
Exactly.
I get 100 kgs natural, natty, and then once I've done it, I know I did that bit. And now let's see what this body's capable of.
Exactly.
But yeah, but I think with the Saudi stuff, like I said, I think you know what you're getting. You know what you're getting. There's the compromise. Yeah, there's all that stuff. But at least you know what you're walking into. With America, you don't know if you're going to get a Todd Bowley type who's got that similar kind of risk appetite, that ethos, that ability to dance through the holes and the willingness to do it and to take all that slaps to the wrist, or you're going to get a PE fund that's just looking to eke out percentage points of revenue, and that it might end up being a disaster. And you won't know until you know who these people are. Connor, I'll let you go, mate. What's your take on the whole thing, buddy? How do you feel about it?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? And look, I think, Sean, we've spoken a little bit. I think all of the signs have been there for some time that obviously this was coming, and that it's really heated up in the last few weeks in terms of the rumours. I think I'm interested to know what the end structure is going to be, right? If it is Saudi investment, as you say, because I think, and sorry, you've probably spoken about this a little bit before I joined, so if I'm saying anything that's repetitive, sorry, but because for me, I'm wondering whether I know here he talks about a PIF subsidiary, but I'm wondering whether it won't be PIF and it'll be another Saudi entity, because I think what they're going to be mindful of is obviously the whole multi-club ownership piece with PIF, and they can invest in ENIC directly, who then invest in us, but there will be some sort of look through. I think the distinction with what Chelsea have with Clearlake is that Clearlake is a huge private equity firm that's running huge sort of funds. They've got about 75 billion of assets under management, and PIF invest into some of their funds using their money, and that was all done before Clearlake were ever interested in Chelsea. So there isn't a direct link, and actually I think it's a bit of a storm in a teacup that was created about Clearlake and the influence there.
Sorry to interrupt you, Connor. So what would be stopping Saudi PIF taking a stake in the Tavistock Group, of which ENIC is one of the 200 companies that are within the group?
They could in theory.
Easily in theory do that, should they not?
They could in theory, but I think I don't know. I've got a little feeling that it's going to be either a very wealthy individual in Saudi, if this Saudi rumor is true. Let's just run that the Saudi rumor is true. I think it's going to be either a wealthy individual or perhaps Saudi Aramco. What the big oil state oil companies have done in Abu Dhabi, and they're doing it in Saudi, is they're setting up their own funds actually to invest in companies and start to diversify. So Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, for example, have got a huge fund, and they're aiming to get 75 billion assets under management themselves, and they're going to invest in companies and other funds. And I'm wondering whether maybe, for example, Saudi Aramco use one of their wealth funds that they're setting them up themselves to invest into us, so that you then don't have, I mean, it's all sort of interlinked because it's all state money in the same way PIF is, and obviously Saudi Aramco is, but it is then a separate legal entity, and then you don't get into any of these debates around, you've got PIF investing into Tottenham as well as Newcastle.
So what if it's both, Connor? So here's another one for you. What if Saudi money is investing? Right, so we know that Vinay is heavily linked with many big private equity companies, okay? I stated this before he joined. As soon as he joined, he was offered private equity jobs in huge companies out in Saudi Arabia, mentioned this to Sean, and also in America. But he was also offered a job at Newcastle, right? So what is the possibility that through clever manipulation that the Saudi PIF fund could be investing in an American private equity company, which is then the company that invests in Spurs, and they are just an investor in the American private equity company, thus replicating exactly what Clearlake Capital is?
Nothing. I mean, because you can't prove a sort of, when UEFA do their test, they'll be basically looking at who's the ultimate beneficial owner of whatever the ownership structure is once you work it through all of the chains. But if you're just saying that PIF is investing into a private equity or alternative asset management company who's got a whole host of funds, and it just so happens that one of the funds that company also invests into Tottenham, I can't see how UEFA would be able to stop that in the same way they can't currently with the Chelsea Clearlake piece, right? So
I'm looking.
But yeah, look, I think maybe it is. I mean, Peter Charrington's also got good. He was at City Private Bank. I mean, the dealings I've had with him in my professional career was when I used to work at a private equity company. So he's got a lot of links with big private equity companies as well. So he will have Yeah, I mean, this is all part of it, isn't it?
So telegrammed, Connor. This was like, woo, for me.
Yeah, you haven't got to be an ITK to figure it out. You just got to do some joined up thinking.
But I don't think people really realise the significance of Charrington. And then with Vinay came in, I think that people were too sidetracked with the fact he's been at Arsenal, and if he was that great, why was he going? He didn't do such a brilliant job. They were all focused on all the wrong things. Just look at his background and his financial background, and it really just looked like dressing of the board for credibility for inward investment. Said it over and over again, and that's exactly what it is. And I think it's exactly what it's going to turn out to be. And I think this is only the start of it. And Vinay obviously has the credibility that he's going to be the main man.
Yeah, and I mean, look, a lot of this could be us jumping to conclusions, adding 2 and 2, and coming up with 5. But there's other signs. The Middle East Investment in Sport conference was held at the Tottenham Stadium 2 months ago, right? With a whole host of different representatives from across the Middle East who are looking at, the Saudi World Cup coming and all of these types of things, and how do they invest in sport more generally around the world. You've had that fairly recently. There was rumours that you had officials from Tottenham out in Riyadh in February meeting, around about commercial deals for Saudi. So look, I think you've had the boxing obviously, so you've then got that extra link with so you start to add all of these things together and all of the rumours, and it just implies to you, doesn't it, that something's going on.
I mean, obviously, I think there's an element of detective work that we have to you undergo in putting. There's like the logical path. Occam's razor kind of energy. The logical reason is the reason, and I think obviously the spending has illuminated everyone to what's going on here. This all right. So I think with that being said, I mean, I guess it's very early to kind of be like, okay, the formula of it might be like a drip feed towards a long-term sale. Do you know what I mean? It could just be investment. Do you know what I mean? In the context of, we like you say, we need to build some more hotels. Right? We need some more houses. So the money aspect of it, just having the ability to actually spend the money, not just having the PSR space, but having the tangible money in the bank that actually, does that. And however the club sort of chop that up in terms of percentage, giving up this share, that share, setting it up in a different way. I think it's kind of like, I still think we're still quite far away from a full takeover or something of that ilk. I think people are getting a little, cart before the horses with regards to that. Whether even it's like a stadium arena, it could be, what if it's not even investment? What if it's just, we've named the stadium and we're spending some of that money kind of thing as well?
Yeah, I remember, I think it's a good point, because I mean, we assume whenever it's the Middle East coming in that they're going to just try and buy clubs outright because they want full control straight away. But actually, when you look at, which is normally the case with them, but when you typically look at when institutions or whatever, or people are buying clubs, they're starting to drip feed in initially. And there's quite a few examples of that happening. But I think, we spoke about it, Sean, when we did the Levy debate way back when. And, I sort of made the point then, it's in ENIC's favour, and ENIC's preference, I think, in some ways might be to take a minority investment from someone, because they then don't have to dilute themselves massively. But in the same way Jim Ratcliffe has taken away the noise from the Glazers in terms of their ownership model, and he's become the face, and he's the one injecting the cash, even though he still only owns, whatever percent it is 20% or something, isn't it? This could be the same with this model, right? If to your point, Joe, if Saudis come in small to start with, but they're the ones fronting the cash, ENIC don't have to dilute themselves too much, so they get the benefit of that extra growth we're then going to get as a result of Saudi. It's genius from them.
Yeah, right? to me, that's the most logical thing, and everyone's kind of like, it's funny because Paul O'Keefe, I was seeing it before, like he mentioned something, and everyone's like, "Oh my God, it's happening!" 24 hours ago, people were calling him a fraud. Do you know what I mean? It just goes to show the news you like regardless of the source who delivers it, like you're happy with it. You know what I mean? So I think logically, to me, that makes the most sense. It's hard to buy Tottenham outright, yeah, but we're obviously a very attractive prospect for a lot of investors. So if you have the opportunity to get in, and it's probably not even easy to get in, like people will act like, oh, you know, you can just, nah, like it's not easy to even get a little nibble of Tottenham. So even this, I imagine, would have taken somebody a long time, a lot of schmoozing, a lot of like negotiation and stuff, just to even get to this point, to either like name the stadium or, you know, invest in the club. And they're probably playing the long game because, you know, I know people see like Levy stepping this and that, but, you know, I look to those comments with Vinay and everything. And like I say, you know, I'm an eternal romantic. You know, I'll believe everything. Do you know what I mean? Like Levy will be like, you know, I'm gonna go buy Mbappe, and I'll be like, you do it, you go get him, Daniel. Like, do you know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. Do you know what I mean? I'll just believe shit. But the idea, you know, when he sat down with Vinay at the beginning of the season, it felt, even if you don't think it was authentic, it felt like he was trying to be authentic in his robot type way. And that I think belies that there was something else beyond him just saying that based off what he had to offer.
I agree.
Do you guys
do you know
think
what's a bit, Sean, just sorry, one
Yeah,
point. What's a bit confusing for me is it was only 3 months ago, though, that the statement that Levy put out with the financial results was completely the opposite. Super pessimistic. You know, was talking about how if we're going to spend, we're only going to spend sustainably. Obviously, this was
just
pre us
reminding
winning the
everybody of the
Europa League.
baseline, mate. It's reminding everybody of the baseline so that when the bomber hits, it hits extra strong, mate. The guy that wasn't him that wrote that. If it was him that was writing that, it would be written in a most boring fashion ever. But if someone else was written that, going, we got something big on the horizon, but let's keep everyone's energy in check, and then just at the start of the summer, don't worry. As soon as you lifted that trophy, then I'm coming out with these are our ambitions, and 2 weeks later we're going to do double bomber in 2 days, and then get sued.
No, I take the point, but there is a difference between there's a difference between, you know, keeping your cards close to your chest because clearly they're not going to make any implications that something big is coming, versus writing something super negative and quite condescending to fans who could read the results and go, actually, this is a pretty good set of results, given we only played 41 games. It was so far that way. But
can
I just say, right? I did a property deal. I had a property deal back in 2007, right? And I bought this property, and the guy who I beat to it said he wanted to buy me out of the deal. And I said no. Went on holiday and he kept up and I said, go away. I've got no interest. I'm doing this deal myself. And he was saying, well, that's all I've got. That's the most I can go to. I said, fair enough. Goodbye. I get on holiday, I wake up in the morning, the guy comes down and he says, I get a letter. I can't remember the name of the lawyer, and I represent so-and-so and so-and-so. And my client is one of the richest people in Great Britain, okay? And he wants to buy your property. Great. Thank you very much, right? I am now 100% not budging from the ridiculous price I put on it if you want to buy it off of me. And all I'm saying to you is, I don't believe when you're in finance, you reveal your hand, just in poker. And there is no way, I mean, he said to Sean, we had this discussion, if the money's going to come in, I don't think it will be announced until the transfer window's closed. I don't know how much of this is guesswork.
The cat's out of the bag now, Johnny, isn't it, mate? The cat's out of the bag.
Right. So what I'm saying to you is, you know, why didn't these guys who were in the know, why didn't they release all this information? Suddenly, after the double whammy last night, everyone was coming out. Every man, woman, and dog were coming out saying, "Oh, we knew that they had money all the time." No, you didn't, because you've never said anything. But yes, now the cat is out the bag, and you know, will Spurs confirm it? Probably not. They deny it. They're probably the one thing they'll actually do is come out.
They're not denying it though, but they are refusing to comment. So they were asked the other day for comment on the Nvidia naming rights story, and both Nvidia and Tottenham declined to comment. So, not saying that silence is a giveaway, but the
Nvidia Stadium would be good. That would be a good. That would be a good. That was worth waiting for. That was
the
like,
Nvidia Arena. It rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? The Nvidia Arena.
Now, let me tell you something. That would all come from Vinay. Vinay is the one who's the deal maker. He's the one that signed the Adidas shirt deal for Arsenal. He's the one that did the deal for the naming rights for the stadium. He's the guy that makes it happen, which is why the Saudis want him. If the Saudis want you, and the Saudis wanted him at Newcastle, you can bet your bottom dollar he's top drawer. And
maybe the Saudis have already hired him and then said, "Don't come and join us officially. Go back to Arsenal. Then let Daniel Levy hire you for Tottenham. Then we've got the mole on the inside, and we can get him."
No, he left. He was approached by the Saudis after he left Arsenal.
No, I'm joking.
Yeah.
Bantry Coy says has become a new YouTube member. Thank you very much, Bantry. Appreciate you, mate. Thank you very much, Ben. Looking forward to getting to know you, sir. Futures bright, futures lily white, 99 pence super check. Oh, super sticker train, choo choo. We're starting again, guys. By the way, at 8 o'clock in half an hour, we are over to Football Inc. to talk about all of the other shenanigans going on around the world of football. And we've got a new Turkey segment to show you because the last one was getting copywritten all the time. And I've got a new jingle for you, Johnny. You haven't seen it yet, mate, but you'll be hopefully.
We've been demonetized again, Sean.
We were temporarily, but I figured it out. But it just takes too long to do it every time. So I've changed up the content. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Code Shush says, "My chairman." This is where I want to go next, guys. I want to ask you guys about whose chairman is who right now. And what we're doing here. Before I come to that, just quickly, I know how Jay feels. I can tell Jay wants to launch into one.
El Capitano.
My chairman. Blaney's in the house as well. Good to see you, Blaine. Sean, when we said to you to get oiled up, this wasn't what we were expecting.
He thought he was thinking of Dharma Traore, yeah.
Or P. Diddy. OnlyFans is missing a trick. Big up, lads. Good to see you, mate. Good to see you, Blaine. Thank you very much, buddy. Yeah, it's a good time. It's an exciting time. But you know what? It's difficult to get the content out. As soon as you put a bit of content out with this is happening, by the time you've done the video, uploaded it, and done the thumbnail, another story's dropped. And YouTube doesn't like you publishing too much content at once. So it's killing it. It's killing my vibes. Just give me one story per day, and I'm a happy boy. That's all I need. Thank you very much. Pictures, thank you very much, Blaine. And Futures Blight, Futures Lillywhite's come back in. He's really trying to get the super sticker train going, guys, but he can't do it all himself. If you want to jump on board the train, you know what you got to do. Super stickers galore. Thank you very much, Futures Bright. Love you guys. Love you all. There's 1,200 people in the house, guys, as well. Please do smash the like button. Get over to Levynomics 1882 on Twitter. Get on a J-Rated-R on Twitter and Johnny H3232 on Twitter and Talking Tottenham 1882 on Instagram and TikTok. Guys, let's talk about Daniel Levy, right? If I loved what you said at the start there, Jay, but the first thing you said was, is there a chance, hi Bugsy, is there a chance that Daniel Levy just wanted to get that trophy duck off his back organically himself, and that now that that's done, that he's willing and ready to kind of hand over the reins? If it's true, if the rumours are true that Paul O'Keefe has put out that under the new shake-up, Daniel Levy will be sort of probably taken away from footballing matters, which again isn't a new story. This is a story that Johnny and I were talking about 6 weeks ago. As soon as the trophy was lifted, how would you summarize his tenure in charge?
All right, listen, I'm just gonna say, like obviously for me, because when I started supporting Spurs, like we're talking, I don't know, around just after the Klinsmann, Iverson kind of. I know I look great for my age, but still. I was like, so from when Levy took over the club, the thing when I'm judging what he's done for the club, I don't take it in isolation. I use other chairmen as comparisons. So I'm not just judging Levy's what he's done in just an echo chamber. I'm like, okay, and compared to some terrible chairmans and some amazing chairmans, personally, I think he's done an outstanding job for Tottenham Hotspur. This season just gone, to me, proved to any fan that was out there, that how good you are as a team and you winning trophies do not necessarily go hand in hand. It should have proved that to any fan. And so any fan who's been overly biting on how many trophies we've won, doesn't understand that like winning a trophy Like, you've seen Leicester win a trophy. You know, Wigan won a trophy. Winning a trophy doesn't change the way you're perceived in Europe and the world. It doesn't change the level that you are. And like, right, like it or not, like it's Champions League, that regular Champions League of Poch, the starting getting into Europe, top 6 in the league, it changed the perception of us as a club. Maybe internally, people were talking spicy about Tottenham, about, but like externally in the league, that's not how we were being seen. Especially when I was younger, we were like bottom half of the league. Do you know what I mean? So to me,
that's what I remember as well. I'm an 84 child.
That's the Spurs. People will talk about, like Lineker and what. That's not the Spurs I came into.
My first memory of Tottenham was Stuart Nethercott standing on the edge of the 18.
Gary Doherty playing up front. That's the Tottenham I remember. Like,
Same.
Do you know what I mean? Like, so when people are talking about like Gary Doherty playing up front, take that as the starting point of Tottenham for me as a fan.
The Ginger Pele.
Hey, like man like Dean Austin, David House. So I'm just like, to me, what he's done for the club and how he's grown the club and how he's got the club to this level. Of course we could have got more trophies, but I really don't know if I look at any other. I think we're about to take the fruit of what he's done now.
I think so as well.
And I'm gonna finish with the. Who's echoing me? I'm gonna finish with this bit. Like, in terms of what we've accomplished, we could have won more trophies, but I don't know how many other people could have come into Tottenham when he came into Tottenham, and we would be as big as we are now. Like, we definitely maybe could have won more trophies, but I don't see any other chairman that could have done what he's done in terms of growing the football club. Like, I genuinely don't. So to me, he's a bit of a unicorn in that sense, that like, in terms of how he's done it individually, mainly, you want to give him all the criticism of the bad decisions. You have to give him the credit of the good decisions then. If it's alpha and omega in Daniel Levy, then the good stuff has to be attributed to him too. And I think on the balance of it, he's helped the club become a top European side. Do you know what I mean? And long may it continue.
Yeah, I echo those thoughts. Johnny, I'll come to you, mate. Your overall take on Daniel Levy, if he does step down, do you think that's the right move, that he's taken us as far as he can? It's now time for other people to man the ship?
I'm not actually sure that I actually think this is a great thing for the club. I've hinted at this before we even talked about.
Wait, sorry. So again, you're not sure it's a great thing, or you think it is?
No. I'm not sure that. I think this is a great thing that's happened.
Yeah.
Sorry if I didn't make myself clear that, but basically, I've suggested this before, even before the Charrington stuff. I thought, we got someone in when we had the initial conversation about Qataris about over a year ago, with him appointing Rothschilds. I thought, Daniel, move across to what you're good at. And that would be, the hotel development, the white webs, the property portfolio across the road, and the other pockets of ring-fenced property investments that you've got that might be outside the club. Get involved in that, do what you're good at, and let someone else come in to run the company. And you can still make money for the club doing this. I actually think that Vinay is an absolutely brilliant appointment as our CEO. I really do. I mean, this is a guy who would have learned from all the mistakes that might have come to fruition, whilst he was at Arsenal. But his track record, really, when you look at it on the long game, what he's done to the women's football team. I mean, their women's football team's light years ahead of us. Their stadium naming rights, their kit deal, appointing Edu and Arteta, and lots of different things, fan liaison. I think he's adapt and good at all the things that maybe Levy isn't very good at. So I think I'm happy for the fact that Levy could bow out now, just the same as it was great for Ange Postecoglou to bow out now on a high. No one can ever take it away. And, Levy to take away now, if it was a takeover, I don't think it is a takeover. I think it's a 10% acquisition, personally, may be linked to a naming right deal is in conjunction, but it might be a rolled over deal for maybe over 3 years to acquire the rest of the capital. Maybe not straight away.
If it's just a naming rights deal, mate, and it's 30 million quid a year, it doesn't really move the needle that much, does it? Let's be honest.
No, but it might be part. What I'm saying is, right. So, for example, if it was Saudi PIF, for example, I'm not saying it is, but if it was Saudi PIF and they have got an oil company that is one of the subsidiaries under that umbrella, that company can do the naming rights. Okay. Saudi can take a small percentage, maybe 10%, and then roll it up over the period so they can do both things. Doesn't stop them doing both, does it, Connor?
Connor, you can answer that one and then also jump in with your take on Levy. I know you're going to come at it from a different angle, obviously. Not quite as hard. You're on mute still, mate. Oh, he's answering a question, I think. You all right, Connor?
Yeah.
There
Sorry. Yeah, a little bit of a different angle probably from you guys. But look, I think from ENIC's perspective, I think Levy has been nothing but outstanding. Right? If you think what their objectives would have been, coming into the football club, i.e., you know, they are going to walk away with the highest return on investment ever for a football club. They've had to put in very little money. He's done an outstanding job in terms of diversifying the revenue streams. Obviously, he was the guardian overseeing the stadium development. So I think from ENIC's perspective, he's done an outstanding job. Obviously, we are the beneficiary of some of that as well as a club, because he's put us into a different place to where we were when ENIC took over. I think there are some arguments that you can make and some caveats that you can make that, you know, we were the 7th richest club in the Premier League when ENIC anyway, generally. We're based in London. Maybe with a different owners, there was still that growth trajectory anyway. So, but that's not something, you know, that's hypothetical. I can't prove that, can I? Because I've been given the situation of what ENIC is, and obviously I don't know. So, look, I think those are the caveats. But I think, look, he's, to me, I say this a lot, Sean, and I'm Levy nomics on X, but my problem is much more not with Levy as an individual, although he's obviously intrinsically linked with ENIC, having owned 30%. My problem is with the model, right? Which is that there comes a point where, you know, as fans who are interested in competing for top honours and having a go, I don't think ENIC have delivered on that over particularly the last 10 years, right? So, you know, in that period, there's clearly been a big focus still on investing significantly into the property portfolio. You know, even in the last 2 years, so this is way past the stadium being built, 90 million in cash has gone out the door towards that. You know, we talk about being part of the Big Six, but all of the measures when it comes to what the club has done to try and compete with that Big Six, we are way off it. So I think in terms of that stuff, that is weak. But to some extent, I don't know how much of that blame I can put on Levy versus Levy perhaps has been hamstrung by the same thing that I'm complaining about, i.e., you know, perhaps he has gone to ENIC in the past and said, I think we need a bit more money to compete here. And because he himself as an individual, although he's very wealthy, doesn't have liquid cash, who's to say that he could ever have put in much of his own, and maybe Joe Lewis wasn't willing to. So, all in all, sorry, go on.
No, because I was just going to say, because you make a great point about the true nature of what he wants to do versus what he's able to do, like with and the evidence dictates sometimes that he actually could want to do more. Like, for example, you say 10 years, but like with the stadium, you know, however the financing was going and stuff like that, who says we didn't have parameters on what we could or couldn't spend, how much we could or couldn't go over certain levels? Do you know what I mean? Maybe there was only a certain caliber of player out there. Look in the aftermath of Ndombele. Who says they don't turn around and say, don't you dare ever sanction a 50 million, 200 grand a week contract ever again? What were you doing? Look at how good we were doing before this. Look at what we're doing now. You know, and then obviously you look at the structure now of like Johan Lang and stuff, and the predictability of what he's trying to do with a Lang makes more sense, you know, in terms of we're going to try and buy certain kind of players who are going to, you know, like a stock, you know, their value is going to rise, and we're either going to sell them or this or that. So, yeah, I really, the one thing I'm going to say to you in rebuttal is, what about the ever-changing landscape that Levy had to deal with? Yeah, then nobody ever gives Levy credit for. Like, every time you were building up, a new threat would come. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, you start with Chelsea and things like that. You just about get to the top. Yeah, we're literally at the top when, you know, with the Leicester season and then the Chelsea season, and boom, here comes City. So we didn't even get a chance. Yeah, we got to the top, and then people can talk about the spending and this that. But now here comes City, and now we've got a new monster, Saudi state, this and that. Then all of a sudden, now we've got the ever emerging, you know, with all the ideas about how we focus the money. Now all of a sudden, Premier League money is crazy. So our competitive advantage that we thought we were getting from the stadium is not as big as it needed to be in real time to be able to take advantage of it. Do you know what I mean?
Not just that, Jay, right? It's also like the inflation in football. Like, the stadium was the game changer in what a stadium can be, which is the ability to generate money, and it has, and we spent a lot of it. The thing that accelerated faster than our revenue, which I don't think anyone really gives that much credence to, is the money in football. Like, the amount of inflation. You had COVID to deal with. You had, obviously, the new stadium, the Champions League, the resetting of expectations. The worst thing that ever happened to Tottenham was getting to the stadium, getting to the Champions League final at the time that we did, in the environment that we were in, and then not winning it. It was an impossible. And then you had the reset of expectations. But it's not just like the inflation or the competitive imbalance of having City coming in with all their money and Chelsea doing their thing. It's also the amount of money that floated into football from Saudi that basically just made all of the growth in our revenue, to a large extent, it was diluted by the fact that a £50 million player, which we could never afford 10 years ago, now we can start to afford it, but it doesn't get you what a £50 million player used to get you. It gets you a Brennan Johnson rather than a top tier player, and all of those things. Obviously, everyone is fighting against that. It's not just Tottenham that were diluted in their value. Everybody else was as well. But I think you're right, Jay. Like, I share this. I completely echo your sympathies. I think that Daniel Levy will never be remembered by some for the good that he did in the difficult environment in which he tried to do it. And if he does move on, or if he does get sorry,
let me respond on that landscape point. And look, this is why you rarely ever see me when I'm making the arguments against Enoch or Levy bringing trophies into it. Now, that's very important for fans, and I get that. But, you know, to your earlier point, I mean, we've just won a trophy when we've had our very worst ever domestic season. So these things don't necessarily always go hand in hand. And for me, my criticism comes from, and I completely get the context of Chelsea and City and not being able to compete with that level of cheating. But my criticism comes from, we have never made the most of what we do have. So, you know, if you compare us to Arsenal, for example, in the last 5 years, Arsenal or last 10 years, our revenue is like 164 million over that 10 years off of Arsenal. So it's pretty similar. Season ticket prices are the same now, all of these types of things. And then you look at our net spend and wages compared to them in that same period, and it's close to 1 billion off of them. Right. So these are the things, I think, where you go, I'm not necessarily expecting that Tottenham.
And they ain't won shit either.
Well, no, they haven't. But they've won more than us. But
in the last 10 years.
Yeah, they've won what, 2 FA Cups?
Yeah, a couple of FA Cups.
3 FA Cups, maybe. But look,
we won the big one.
But Sean, but that's my point, isn't it? Because back to the point that I'm making, which is that I'm not bringing trophies into it purposely for the reason that, you know, trophies
can suit the argument. Yeah, it doesn't suit the argument.
There's been a lot of cheating. My point is that you haven't made the most of the situation and the funding that you've got. We've got the lowest wage to revenue ratio in the whole of Europe. So I'm not expecting us to be first on these things, but there is an argument to say, can we do a little bit more? Can we have a little bit more owner finance in the £5 million a year over 24 years? You know, can we have a little bit more spend on wages? Could there have been a bit more investment under Poch in the 5 years preceding the stadium than £13 million net a year? You know, these are the things where I think if you're reasonable about it, you can accept that, yes, no one is asking that we will go crazy, but there should have been a bit more done, and we haven't.
But that's not the same as the venom that he gets, though, right? The venom that he gets is as if he's done, as if he's like, you know, driven into their grandma or something. Like it's wildly over exaggerated.
When I talk to Connor about this, Connor knows that I've got the perfect phrase to describe it, and I always say suboptimal. Yeah, like, and it's the way I describe it. It's like suboptimal. And a lot of people confuse suboptimal with crap. Yeah. And it's not. It's just suboptimal. It's a B plus. Yeah, it's like a B plus. It's not the very, very best you could do. But like Connor's expertly laid out, it's because there's a variety of factors as to why. But the criticism, I've never been annoyed with the criticism that we could do more. My criticism has been throwing the baby out with the bathwater and disregarding everything that he's done for the club, and I think that harms your argument. And then just as Connor, so when we're having these conversations, Connor's right. You have to concede, yes, in a lot of these points, but they're not. To me, they're not points where you're like, oh my god, I hate this guy. To me, it's almost like you're being too risk averse. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, and I'm like, why would I be so venomous to somebody that at their heart doesn't want the club to go into
get people going like he's a cancer, he's a parasite.
I mean, is that worth being like, is that worth being so venomous? I don't think it is. I just think, like you've explained, it's just suboptimal.
Yeah, but if you've been around for 25 years in a job, you're going to make mistakes. You know,
that's why, you know, Sean, you know, I never get into these individual debates about, should we have paid £5 million more for Jack Grealish? Because for every one of them, there's we negotiated the fee down on Kulusevski. You know, so those type of, they're emotional, right? And I get it, because fans are emotional, and all of us want the best for the club, right? And we want days like in Bilbao when I was hugging my dad at the final whistle, celebrating a trophy, you know, and all of these types of things is what we want. But you know, I think
there'll be lots more to come.
Yeah, for me, I'm a bit stronger on that wasted opportunity. But look, hopefully this is all good news now. And the one thing that we have got, which everyone can agree on, is we've got an unbelievable platform now to really go. And that's something that can't be disputed. We've got PSR headroom that we couldn't even cause an issue with if we went and spent.
What is it?
Knows how much money, 500 million on transfers, we wouldn't have a PSR issue, right? So, I think that's where we are.
Speaking about that, guys, Johnny, I want to bring you in here, mate. I don't know if you've got some final thoughts on the Levy topic, but just if you don't, we've got 8 minutes left, and I just want to ask you first here. The rumours are, of course, that Tottenham are interested in Adam Wharton. Tottenham are looking at another central midfielder. Tottenham might be going for a striker. And Morgan Gibbs White apparently still fine. Anthony Robinson, Romero's not leaving the club. Are we 2 or 3 transfers away, Johnny, this summer from having a really, really good team? And how good could, like, for this, if you were to go and get a striker, a 6 like a Wharton, and Anthony Robinson, and you kept Romero, how good is that? What level is this team capable of in this season coming?
I think you've got to give the manager time, because I don't think that any of the signings, Morgan Gibbs White, Kudos, Mathys Tel, are anywhere near their optimum performance levels. The fact that Kudos, you know, has the second most successful take-ons in the whole of Europe behind Lamine Yamal, and he's only got 3 assists, tells you everything you need to know. Morgan Gibbs White, great at assists, definitely could be doing better in his goal tally. Shooting leads a bit to be answered. And Mathys Tel, raw, but he takes raw gemstones and he polishes them up and produces his Vistas and his Mbumos and his Tonys and his Ollie Watkins. And so I think that's exciting. I don't believe in Rome being built in a day, but I do think it's exciting times for Tottenham. And, you know, we hear the term project, but I think this is a much more realistic project. And when I look at the young kids that are coming through, I watch a lot of the youth football. I'm very hopeful that this could be a massive turning point. I've said this before. We didn't take the opportunity in 2019. I believe that we are now grabbing the opportunity with both hands as we move into 25-26. And I, for one, are quite excited. Listen, I'm no Daniel Levy fan, as anyone who knows me will tell you. But I'm a realist, and I can see, or I could see back in March, that things were changing. And times are changing. They needed to change. And let's hope this is part of an exciting journey in the next year, the next 2, the next 5 years.
Is our squad, like, how far away is it from City squad? If you were to go and get an Adam Wharton and an Anthony Robinson.
I know. Look, we're not Manchester City yet. We're not. Listen, the strength of the teams above us is strong. I know you don't believe Chelsea's strong. I do. I believe Liverpool is strong. I didn't
say they're not strong. I don't think they've strengthened.
You think they've balanced each other out? What they've sold.
I think they've marginally improved, but I don't think they've massively improved. Yeah.
I tend to differ to that opinion, but it doesn't matter. That's what football's about, different opinions. I think there's lots of competition. It's not going to be easy. You've got Newcastle, you've got Manchester City, you've got Liverpool, you've got Arsenal, you've got Chelsea, all fighting for that glory at the top. I'd like to, even with his naivety in Champions League and not having any experience, that we could maybe replicate an Aston Villa, getting through to the knockout stages, making 80 odd million and finishing in top 5 would be a fantastic, start for me for the start of the season, and doing well in the cups. But listen, it's a massive step forward, because I think we all know that the squad is nowhere near good enough. The old squad was nowhere near good enough to compete in the Europa League and in the Premier League, according to Ange Postecoglou. So we had to improve it massively to compete on multiple fronts. So we shall see. What are you going to say, Jay? Sorry, mate.
No, I was just like, the thing for me is like, this season is so like, I have expectations. Listen, as Europa League winners, we can't live a life of no expectations anymore. Like, we have expectations as a football club now, which I'm embracing. I'm just looking at it from the point of view, if you look at Brentford's revenue, kind of like, what's it, like 17th, like 16th, 17th, 15th? It's down there, isn't it?
I mean, yeah, that's
so I'm like, his overachievement is what we're looking for. If we can spend more, like I'm gonna say it, amazing. But even if we can't, what we're looking for is give us the 6th amount of spending and give us some level of overage, and you're still doing well. Do you see what I mean? So I'm excited because you're bringing in a serial overachiever. So you want to see what he's, and I think that there's a lot of players that will look better under him. Maybe some play. I don't think any player can really look worse than last season. I genuinely think coming into the season, I don't think there's no player last season where I'm like, okay, they're gonna have a worse season this season. Every single player is gonna have a better season. Every single one.
Not difficult.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. So we know what the floor is with this team last season. We're capable. And the thing is we lost a lot of games by 1 goal. Thomas Frank is a marginal gains guy. Do you know what I mean? So if we're looking at Frank, with the throw-ins and the set pieces and how many goals he scored from kickoffs and all of these marginal gains, and with having a better structure.
Apparently, Nottingham Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis is furious over how the Morgan Gibbs White situation has played out, and he wants answers. You want answers? I want the truth.
Go and eat a burger.
No, we can't. No. Listen, what we're not gonna do is we're not gonna treat one chubby Greek man as Satan, and we're going to treat another chubby Greek man.
Listen,
the guy can't be so hypocritical.
Listen, the guy broke the rules himself, man. Come on, the guy broke the rules. He tried to sue. He tried to blame Spurs for us paying £12 million too much for Brennan Johnson. He sold Brennan Johnson to Brentford for £35 million, agreed the deal, and Brennan Johnson said no. We ended up paying £47 million, and he used us in dispatches when he was arguing about the points deduction because it was our fault. Yeah, how can it be our fault? We paid £12 million more than we should have paid for him. Man, I don't like the guy.
I was going to say, this guy's always furious, isn't he? I mean, he threatened legal action against
Angry
VAR.
Angry guy.
I was making the point. The lawyers made so much money this year, just in 2025. It's like just so the Neville thing and the Crystal Palace out of Europe. Now this, I think they complained to the FA a couple of times. That's just in 2025. So the lawyers had a lot of billable hours. So, and the guy, like, obviously he's doing things like it's Turkey or it's Greece or something. Like, I hope the FA isn't going to be pushed by this, but I'm just looking at it like, don't blame us that you bought a player for £40+ million and gave him a £60 million release. Like, that's not our fault.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know who leaked it, but Johnny, you were saying something about he's a CAA client. So yeah. Loose lips, yeah, loose lips.
Look, you know, look, it's ridiculous, right? The guy's living in cloud cuckoo land, right? Okay. You know, we could have taken Real Madrid to court God knows how many times for tapping up Bale, Modric. I mean, you know, Bayern Munich were talking about it open in the press, you know, about tapping up Harry Kane. What happened to that? Did Spurs take them to court? No. Get off your
It happens.
Look at Romano's tweets. How many of these tweets say personal terms agreed? Now club to club talks are going to start. I mean, it's a legal technicality, isn't it? That I think Gibbs White should have told Forrest that he was.
I reckon he's already at the lodge having a kit right now, stretched out.
Yeah,
probably got a girl in, give him a nice match.
Maybe we could send up Dominic Solanke and see if no one notices the difference.
That's a great point you make.
I'm going to head off, mate. I'm going to head off.
Yeah. We're going to round off now as well, guys. So sorry, Johnny. I'll see you in the background in a second.
Guys, it's been a pleasure, guys.
Always a pleasure. Have a good weekend, John.
And you, Connor. Take care.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Just quickly, guys. Jay, do you want to just finish your?
Yeah, no. I was just looking at it like, obviously with what Forrest are doing, it is very much like you say. I feel like there was one story that came out when all of this was happening, and I remember that might be the one that pushed him over the edge, where it was like something like Thomas Frank has been talking to him for a few days. I was like, ooh, that one, that specific article where it's like, oh, he's been talking to him.
Yeah.
Because we played it reasonably. Oh, okay. We'll just when have we? I see that logic of these guys came to us and wanted to pay us $60 million in one go.
Wrong one, Johnny.
What are you? Do you know what I mean? It's like that's a bit like bait. Like it's a bit like, okay, well, why are you coming to us offering us $60 million in one go? Who told you that was going to be a thing?
100%. Boys, listen, I will say massive thank you. Guys who's watching, there's 1,200 people here. Stay where you are if you're interested in more football. We're going to go across the football link right now and carry on the conversation. Jay, Connor, absolute legends, mate. Just quickly, super chats. Robert Palmer saying, sorry I didn't see this, mate. Transfer wish list, Wharton, Hato, Costa. Amazing. Love that. Harry Kane return. Wait until January 27 for that one. Barella, fuck it. Go and get Saka and Cole Palmer too. Do you know what, mate? I wouldn't mind that one. It'd be absolutely sensational, Robert. Thank you very much for the super chat. What a lovely little wish list that would be. Tottenham could do business. And Thomas THFC, thank you very much, mate. Late entry into the show, but we will be back tomorrow, or maybe even later on tonight, but I doubt it. Tomorrow with some more content for you. Thank you very much for the membership, mate. I look forward to getting to know you. Connor, what's coming up in your world, mate? You got anything planned? You want on the streams later or anything?
Not today. I mean, I did produce a whole host of data and tweets I was going to do slagging Enoch off, but it just doesn't really feel the right time now, does it? The vibes, vibes are vibing, and my agenda's not going to agenda enough, is it? So, yeah, I'm gonna hold off.
At the same time, though, I'm that with content has to content. So you know, you can come on the show tomorrow, mate. If you've got nothing to do and you can show us what your stats were, mate. Thank you very much for coming on.
Do you ever do other clubs, or is it just Tottenham?
I do when I'm comparing to Tottenham, but I am. Okay. Yeah, so
there's room for a young. What's that guy? Boston. Like
Austin or Kieran.
Kieran. There's room for a young version of them. Do you know what I mean? Move
I
over, like
need to
especially
replace
one
them.
that
you
gets
need to
things
start
right
doing the
occasionally.
finances for other teams as well. I think it's an actually good angle for you. You might have to
Yeah,
change
Lovely
the name.
guys. Jay, please go over to JRatedR on Twitter. Please go over to Levynomics 1882. Boys, absolutely smashed it as always, guys. I'll get you back on very, very soon. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for the super sticker train. And we'll see you over on Football Inc. right now. Cheers, boys. Take care. See you guys. See you tomorrow.
Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.